Next, would invite Superintendent Dixon to give her superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was so taken by all the public comments that I have to regroup my thoughts a little bit. As you know, I've been out on the road and visiting schools, and I won't go through today and give a report, although I will soon. But I just wanted to link to Mrs. Taylor's comments to first of all say that as I've been in the schools, it's a fun week before Veterans Day because they're all preparing for veterans programs. And I want to just play you a little bit of third grade rehearsal in Gunnison Valley Elementary. And it's not a great video, so hopefully the sound will come up. Let's see if I can. And that's just typical of everything you hear in schools before Veterans Day. So I'm in the colors of red, white, and blue to honor specifically Deputy Scott Jones and Board Member Nilsson and their service, and for all who have served. My 97-year-old father, who was a World War II Marine in the South Pacific and still living, although he has a bit of dementia, he is starting to relive and rethink all of those things that were buried for many years, like his generation. So very proud to be the daughter of a Marine and work alongside of people who are currently serving and have served. And I'm so grateful to our schools that they invest in putting on programs and bringing veterans into their schools. And there's so many great programs. So I would encourage you on Veterans Day to go out and visit a school nearby that is putting on a program because they're marvelous and so touching. And our veterans love them. Second, on my school visits, I've been really thinking about teacher leadership. I'm trying to focus on our 4 board goals as I go out into schools. So I'm really asking them about how they're engaging in early learning and looking at their very intentional work. And many schools are starting to embed preschool into their schools if they haven't already. Some have been around for a while, but I'm seeing a lot of new preschools pop up with the funding that the legislature has put forward. And this month, I've really been thinking about teacher leadership, especially when you're out in rural schools. They take on so many hats. Yesterday, I was in Eureka. Patty and I were in Eureka Elementary, and they were talking to us about a book club. And there's a teacher that spearheads this event that it's really a year-long process and engages families in this process of a book club. And they bring in the authors from all over the place who come and visit Little Eureka Elementary as a celebration. So many things that teachers do out there beyond their classroom. And I've asked Allison Riddle from Davis District to come and share with you how Davis has been really intentional focusing on teacher leadership. I think sometimes it can be a little trickier in an urban or suburban setting where you have a lot of teachers, and how do you help them find roles that aids in retention? And it also is a recruitment strategy when teachers know that they can come into a school system and have roles beyond their classroom. So Davis is one that I've been watching. If you follow Davis on Twitter or Instagram, you'll see this hashtag called Teaching Davis. And Allison's had a lot to do with that. You know her as a former Teacher of the Year. She's always part of the Teacher of the Year family and has been really instrumental in keeping that group together and actually having an affiliate here in our state that's very cohesive. So with that, the fabulous Allison Riddle will talk to us about what she's been doing in Davis with teacher leadership.
Okay, we'll need your mic turned on when you're ready.
So many different. To now. Well, I just did that. Patience. Have you ever taught a lesson and the technology?
Superintendent, while this is coming up, can you speak a little bit more about some of your visits? Because I know they've all been fantastic. I hear reports, so if you would, while this is coming up.
Yes, I'm happy to. So if you follow me on social media at all, you know where I've been. I like to, it's my opportunity to provide context and brag about what I see. But so this past week, I visited, I call them the Petes, the North and South San Pete. And, you know, sometimes it's so easy to group rural context together and you just assume that it's rural, so it's rural. But every context is so unique. The week before that, I was in Beaver and Paiute on Halloween in Paiute District, in fact. And then, of course, yesterday in Tintic. So I'll start with Beaver and Paiute. At Paiute on Halloween, that would be unnerving, I think, for most. But I want to tell you that I just saw learning go on as normal. And especially the high school level, there were kids that wore costumes. My favorite was a young man in cowboy boots and jeans, and he had on his sister's pink tutu. And I said, so this is your Halloween costume. And next to him was a young man in an Igor head-to-toe onesie thing. And I said, so you guys are you trick-or-treater? No, we just thought it'd be fun to wear costumes to school. But they were oblivious to the fact that they had on costumes. And there's a kid standing next to me who said, you know, if my sister had a pink tutu, I would totally be rocking it. But they were in wood shop, and they were staining cabinets in their Halloween costumes, and just some really good intentional learning in English and history classes that I saw computer coding, all sorts of stuff going on, and it didn't seem chaotic at all. But the following morning when I was in Beaver, I was having breakfast with a bunch of students, and I asked them how many of them had had candy for breakfast before they came, and I think all but 2 raised their hands. So I'm learning that the day after Halloween in schools is much harder than the day of Halloween. But again, just great learning taking place in classrooms. A couple of the things that I've noticed, the professional learning communities are more intentional about studying data, and not just studying data, but really talking about what they can do differently. And the literacy practices that I saw in the districts are really amping up. A great focus on K-3 literacy and at the secondary level as well. These are places where I see a lot of innovation, sometimes by necessity, but they don't even know that they're being innovative. So one of the things that I've tried to do is put some research or labels to what I'm seeing, so that when they hear that label, they recognize that they're already doing it. And then into North and South San Pete, we were able to visit the school where they serve students who are incarcerated, and these are students in group homes. And it was fascinating to see how technology is supporting what these students are able to learn, but also face-to-face teachers. And they have to keep them in 3 separate rooms, and then the teachers rotate. So this year they have a full-time science teacher. So all of the students are getting hands-on science, and they've been able to use youth in custody money to buy microscopes and petri dishes. And of course, they can't use sharp objects, so anything that's not sharp, they can bring into the lab. But the kids are really able to engage in hands-on learning, and that was fabulous to see. Also at South San Pete, it was interesting to think about how if you really focus on a program and get the right teacher involved, how a program can grow. Cody Hughes, whom you might, you've heard me talk about him and post about him, he started a band program when he was at Gunnison Valley. I think he had 4 kids, and by the time he left, there were 76. And so that continues today, but they've been able to get this amazing recording studio and band room that big places like American Fork Band, that's like they're world famous, right? At least we act like they are, but they're pretty famous, at least in our state. And so American Fork Band actually came down to use the band room at Gunnison Valley and have a retreat there and record in their band room. So I just love the pride of some of the amazing things going on in these schools. Yesterday in Tintic, Dr. Norman and I had the opportunity to spend all day in 2 schools, and I can't tell you how joyous that was to actually spend a great deal of time and sit down with the kids and learn what they were learning. Superintendent Hughes' wife, Jody Hughes, teaches music at the elementary school. And so we got to see him lead the band. Patty may or may not have a video of Superintendent Hughes putting a baton in my hand and actually leading the band. But there's this great band, and the kids start when they're young. He teaches both at the elementary and secondary, but they also have music. So every single student is engaged in music and art in Tintic District, and it was just palatable all throughout the school. I also loved how they really engaged their students with disabilities. A young man with a cognitive disability is part of the student council, and he was the first one to come up and greet Dr. Norman and I and to talk to us about his role on the student council. He's also a star. He's a track star for their school. There was a young man on the autism spectrum who asked if he could play the pastor in their little skit for Veterans Day and was fabulous. And he's also the person who provides coding for the robotics team. So as we drove home yesterday, we were thinking about the wonderful things happening in rural schools and context, but the haves and the have-nots. And as you make some of these policy and hard decisions, thinking about what large districts can offer and small districts can offer, the robotics class was a great example. They have one robotics kit, and they have an actual 3D printer. This is at Tintic High, or Eureka High. Tintic High in Eureka. And they had a 3D printer, and they were given a cube as part of the kit that they will lift with the robot, and they were able to replicate that by using the 3D printer and making 2 or 3 so that if something went wrong and it broke, then they weren't breaking the original cube that they were given. And they were so proud that they had this 3D printer to do so. But if you were at Davis High, for example, I'll just shout out at Davis High, who has a great robotics team. They've been able to replicate the floor and the arena and have all of this stuff at their disposal. And so that's something that I think we always need to keep in mind, that based on our funding streams and resources that they have at hand, do we create this chasm between our rural and urban suburban schools? And so many great things happening out in our schools. Rural, urban, suburban, it doesn't matter. They're amazing things that we need to highlight, and I'm so proud of our educators and our students. So turn the time back to Allison. Looks like she's ready to go.
Yes, I am. Thanks for your patience. I really appreciate Superintendent Dixon inviting me to share with you what we do in Davis District. To give you just a small part of my background very quickly, I spent 26 years teaching 3rd and 5th grade in Davis District, 1 full year as a full-time mentor, and this is my 4th year as the elementary mentor supervisor in Davis District. So in Davis District, we've long had this culture of identifying effective practice and really celebrating those who do well. But about 4 years ago, when I began this, under the direction of Dr. Patty Brown, who's the Director of Professional Learning and Quality Staffing, we decided that we needed to find more opportunities for teachers to lead beyond their classroom. It's not just about going in and watching those that are on fire. It's about giving them opportunities to lead. So today I'd like to share with you 4 areas in which we offer opportunities for teacher leadership. And as I share them very quickly, I want you to note that it's mutually beneficial for us to have this in place. It benefits the veteran teacher, and it also benefits new teachers, but it also recruits pre-service teachers. And that's part of the magic behind it, is we can keep the pipeline going. So in Davis District, we have 4 major areas. We have mentor teacher leaders, we have something called new teacher leaders, professional learning leaders, and then digital teacher leaders. And I think you'll find when we get to the digital teacher leadership opportunities, these are going to be able to reach out and touch our other districts that are not as large as Davis and might be in areas where they don't have those kinds of opportunities. So I want to start out with our support group leaders. We have mentor teacher leaders for every content area in the secondary schools, but also for every grade level. The picture you see are the support group leaders for our elementary program. Each Year 1 teacher in elementary must attend a monthly support group, and these are led by these amazing support group leaders. These are master teachers. We've trained them in mentoring, cognitive coaching, and andragogy. They host a monthly support group for teachers in their first year, and it's based on reflective practice and best practices, but it's notable that they model the practice. It's not just a sit and greet and talk. They're modeling good practice. So, for example, whatever grade level you go into, you see that it's very well structured. They model great planning, but they also do activities that the teachers engage in that helps them understand better their practice and shows them they could go back and do things. They help them to find resources, but of course, it's really based on reflection, which is something that new teachers don't automatically have a great skill set for. We also have our part-time mentors. We only have 2 in secondary, but I am very, very lucky to have 10 part-time mentors. This is a picture of just 7 of them. These are excellent teachers, again, master teachers that have been identified by their administrators. I will let you know that we have 2 that are retired very recently. We have, one has national board certification. We have 3 that just recently left their classrooms after about 10 years of teaching to raise these adorable kids at home, but they are still licensed and still hungry to be in classrooms. And then we have 4 that are actually part-time teachers. So it's not a hybrid position, but they are compensated for the time that they spend in mentoring. They visit once a month. Their focus, of course, is on reflection and best practices, but even more, they co-teach alongside these first-year teachers that they visit. In Davis District, we hire over 100 new elementary teachers a year, over 300 teachers and licensed professionals in the entire district. They also model lessons, but the most important thing they do is they take teachers out of their isolated classrooms and take them on guided reflections or guided observations of other teachers that are doing great work in our district. And then about 2 years ago, we came up with this idea. Why don't we try and pull in some of our newest and brightest to lead from their classrooms? And we call them our new teacher leaders. We search for teachers that are in their 3rd or 4th year of teaching. These are teachers that are so enthusiastic. They are already mastering great teaching practice, and they are hungry to learn more. 2 years ago, they also gave us recruiting in my department. So this was a perfect match. We take them, we have them call each of our new hires. They do a phone call, they're trained on this. And then they also come with us to recruiting events. They speak at our new teacher orientation, do a session for new teachers. They're incredible. As you can see, Superintendent Nui is a big fan of this. He's very supportive of our mentoring and teacher leadership on all levels. And these teachers come to events such as our student teacher celebration that we host every semester for student teachers in Davis District, where we offer them a breakfast and speakers, and we have reflective conversations. But we take these new teachers to recruiting events so that we can let them share their enthusiasm for teaching and the support that they get in Davis District. We also really know that teacher leaders in general, those that really have that collective accountability for everyone's work and for the success of all students, that they are searching to enhance their practice and share their practice. Oh, we lost it. I can just speak to it. You can do your magic. And so we teach them how to, we go out and find with supervisor recommendations and principal recommendations, the best and brightest with certain skills that we want teachers to learn. And we teach them how to create a 3-week PD Pro. It's an online course. And yes, teachers from other districts can take these courses. The online PD Pros are 3 weeks long. We teach them how to design those, and they are compensated for designing that. And then we also give them the opportunity to review teachers that take the class, to review their work, and they're compensated for that time. It's almost like being an adjunct professor. And they're spreading the amazing expertise that they have, but they're also spreading excitement. Along with that, we have 2 to 3 conferences every summer. We are a large district, and yes, teachers from outside our district come to these conferences, and we go and find great presenters within our district. But it's more than just having them share ideas. We actually train them on effective professional learning sessions on how to design those, how to work those. We also train them on elements of andragogy so that they make sure they're using the most effective practices and the most engaging. And we also teach them the 20-80. The 20-80 meaning 20% of your presentation should be lecture, but the other 80 should be great engagement. And during the year, these are classroom teachers who are on the front lines. They are with students, but they love to share their practice. And those sessions that were the most popular, we have flashback sessions in the middle of the year where those teachers are asked to come back after school and present the session again to anyone who couldn't come to the June conference because they were on vacation. And you may know Darren Kinnett, who has developed the digital badging for the state of Utah. He does such an amazing job, and we, again, looking with supervisor endorsement, we're looking for great teachers to design digital badges. And at this point, we have about a third of our digital badges that have been made by current classroom teachers. Again, it's that opportunity for them to build their capacity by designing professional learning that can be used by teachers across the state. They're paid to design the badges, and then they're paid if they choose to review the badges. Just as an example, the two on the left, personalized learning and feedback, those stacks of badges were created by current classroom teachers. I'm going to admit to you that I may have designed the teacher leadership badges because I stole that and I said that will be mine. And I have 3 of them. We also have advocacy and then using teacher leaders in social media. We want to not only have them design badges, but we want them to get badges and to share those ideas with teachers across the state. And that leads me to the last part of digital teacher leadership, and Superintendent Dixon spoke to this a moment ago. It's true that we're really trying to pull teachers into social media to expand their professional learning networks in Utah and across the country. More and more teachers are doing this. They're jumping in. This is an old slide because we have over 500 followers. Woo, that's not, but I didn't buy those. Those are real followers. That should be noted. We do have a hashtag that I came up with because I wanted us to really be proud of the work that we do in Davis. But I've noticed that it's encouraging other districts to get a hashtag, and we really want to share our expertise. So whether it's through mentoring or professional learning or digital teacher leadership, I think the point here is that if we want to attract and retain the best teachers, we must provide them with opportunities to lead while in the classroom. Because as it is right now, it's kind of a flat profession with few opportunities for advancement for teachers other than instructional coaching, curriculum design, or administration. And all of those take them out of the classroom. And we want to keep the best in the classroom. Speaking as one who, in the middle of my career, I started consulting for a company on the side. I had a choice to make. Do I leave and make a lot more money, or do I stay teaching? And because I had great administrators who celebrated the crazy ideas that I had and really worked with me so that I could share from my classroom, and I started doing workshops for the district and things, I stayed in my classroom. And I did it proudly, and I was very happy to do it. So this is our passion in Davis. We want to keep the best and the brightest, and we want to build this celebratory culture about teaching in Utah. Questions?
Okay, Superintendent?
Yeah, I just want to thank Allison for really laying out the kind of work that is so important, and appreciate the board focusing on teachers and leaders, as Allison just stated at the end of her presentation, how good leaders can not only keep teachers in the profession, but recruit teachers to the profession. And that is what I've heard in spades on my school visits. Yesterday at Tintic High School, I asked every educator where they live, if they had grown up in the community, and I was amazed at how far away people live and drive in, because they really believe in what's happening in their district and the leadership there. The vice principal at the high school lives in Levan and drives to Tintic High. And that's the kind of commitment that our teachers make when they have positive leadership and the kind of ecosystem of support they need that you heard Allison talk about in Davis. So just kudos to what's happening there and to Allison's leadership. So thank you.
Board Member Lear?
I just had a quick question. Thank you for your information. But does your funding for the stipends and the summer training and excuse me, does that come internally from Davis District, just a priority for it's not from, or is it from grants or state funds, or do you know?
I do. That's a great question. Thanks for asking that. The money is internal. It's definitely well supported by the board and Superintendent Nui. We are not using, well, it could be embedded Title II funding for professional learning, but to my knowledge, it's just all internal. It's not, we're not using any Title I funding at all.
Just to
Follow up?
follow up, just, is it self-funded at all, like? From other districts, do they pay you to do that?
We do charge at our conference for teachers from other districts, or we often have teachers who are out of the classroom relicensing. Yes, we encourage them to take our online classes and to come to our conferences. We do charge for them to attend, but we don't charge for teachers that are in Davis District. You bet.
Board Member Cindy Davis?
Just thank you. I'm so impressed with you when I hear you speak, and I've long thought that when we talk about recruiting and induction and retention, that we're frantically focusing on recruiting and we're frantically focusing on retention, but the induction piece is the piece that impacts the students the most. And I feel like it's gotten lost between the other two, and I love the focus that you are putting on it, so thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Any other questions or comments for Allison or the superintendent? Well, thank you for being
Yeah.
here, and will you give a shout out to your board for being engaged? You know, it's a board priority, and we have quite a few boards out there. And so maybe this will become more and more contagious, so thank you for your work.
You bet, thank you.